Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a few weeks. My apologies for that. As you well know, my father passed away the beginning of August, and I was doing really well. It was a decent time. I had mourned really prior to his death. He had passed from pancreatic cancer and the junk that comes with that, losing weight, etc. And you mourn and you go through that terrible time, and then you start seeing family, and you go through the process of preparing for a memorial, and you get distracted. And a number of times over the past 3 weeks, I've had to cancel, our podcast interviews with a number of people. I probably have 8 or 9 that are backlogged now because of it. And one of them was today's guest, Ryan Van Poederooyen, who is a drummer for the Devin Townsend Project up in Canada. For those of you who do not know who Devin Townsend is this incredible vocalist and guitar player who originally started as the singer for Steve Vai back in the early 90s, and just through time evolved, was had a band called Strapping Young Lad, and then eventually shut that down and started the Devin Townsend Band, which then evolved into the Devin Townsend Project. And when the Devin Townsend Band started back in the early 2000s, Ryan was recruited to play drums in the band. And as the band grew and evolved and changed, Ryan stuck. He's just a great guy, a killer drummer. Really funny, kind man. So honored, man. I'm so honored. And I have to admit, similar to Jorgen Munkeby from Shining, I was really nervous when I sat down for this interview. I greatly admire Ryan. He's a really great drummer, super pocket player, capable of highly technical drumming. One of my favorite drummers, which we didn't get to in the podcast, is a guy named Prairie Prince. And Prairie played with the Tubes. In fact, he still plays with the Tubes. A notorious band from San Francisco that many of you, I'm sure, are aware of from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And anyway, long story short is Prairie's drumming was really great to me because Terry always played for the songs. Terry, what am I saying? I'm an idiot. Prairie always played for the songs, but he was capable of doing so much more. He was a very, very proficient drummer. He still is a proficient drummer, but never overplayed. And what I love about Ryan's playing is the same. He's such a killer player. He's capable of playing some of the fastest, most amazing stuff you'll ever hear in your life. And yet he just sits in the pocket. He is the Kenny Aronoff of hard rock / metal, drumming. And I admire him greatly. I'm going to say it one more time. I admire this cat. He's a great, great guy. So we had a really fun time talking, about an hour. And sadly, we had to do it via Skype. So that's always a bit of a bummer. It's always more fun face to face. But he was just really super gracious and really kind, and recorded it from, I believe, his bedroom. So every once in a while you hear an ambulance or something drive by, because apparently Vancouver, BC is a noisy place. But all in all, a great time. I hope you guys enjoy it. Ryan's an absolute rock star, and make sure you check the show notes, because you'll be able to see links to his band, all the information, all the things he's doing, public speaking, etc. Get out there and support Devin Townsend Project. Incredible, incredible band. Great new record coming out called Transcendence. Ryan's right in the center of it. Big, chunky drums. So check it out. Great podcast, great interview. Love this guy, man. Rock and roll.
It's been a crazy it's been crazy.
Yeah, no, I get it. I know you're getting ready to go on tour, lots of rehearsal, lots of everything, right?
Yeah, but it's all good, and I apologize that we had to reschedule it, but I'm very thankful that you're able to do this. So thanks for making the changes and stuff, man. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really no problem. It's funny, you're one of those guys I really admire, and I gotta admit, man, I was super nervous before you called.
What?
It,
Nothing to be nervous about, man. I'm just a normal. Can you see me? By the way?
No, I can't see. I don't know why. Which is okay. It's like an. Oh, there you are. Peace, brother. How you doing, man?
Right on, man.
This is great. Yeah, I'm very happy about this. It's you're one of those guys that I've admired for quite some time. You've kind of got that right combination. I shouldn't say you have that right combination of skill and mindset. You're clearly focused. I don't want this to be a clinical, technical discussion, but I just love your style, man. You're just the real deal, and I think more guys, they should be like you. Just super deep pocket guys. Great players. You're playing for the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's you want to know what it is. Is one thing I always say to my drum students is be yourself.
Yeah.
There's the Judy Garland quote, which is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I say it to my students all the time: is be a first-rate version of yourself, not a second-rate version of someone else. Yeah. And so I focused my whole career on being that. And I've never been a competitive drummer. I've never looked at the next guy in the next band coming up going, oh man, I got to do my 16ths or triplets, 10 times faster than that now. It's like, I've always just looked at myself and I'm like, how can I improve? How can I be a better version of myself? And how can I, learn new things that I can apply to the band or the sessions or the teaching that I'm doing currently. So that's how I've kind of always approached my life. It's just be the best you can be proud of who you are, and just keep on growing,
Yeah, no, that's so true. And it's funny. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. That it seems every musician I really dig, at least lately in the past few years, is from Canada. So what's in the water up there, man?
I think Canadians in general are just happy, easygoing people.
Yeah. Devin's even got the Canada thing on his leg. He's got that tat.
That's right. Yeah.
great pride.
I don't know. We're chilled. We're chilled people. But you know what? Like any other country, we got every type of person up here too, right? But hey, man, maybe what it is just it honestly, to me, is the best place in the world to live. Like, it's just a great country to live in, period.
Yeah.
And I love it here. It's like, my brother has dual citizenship in the U.S., from being an engineer and working on big, music acts down there. And he said the same thing. He goes, he loves the States and everything, but he'll never in a million years get rid of that Canadian citizenship, right?
Yeah,
he always needs to be able to come back.
I totally understand that. It's interesting, though. I actually have the opposite effect. If my wife is Japanese, and so every time I go to Japan, I want to stay. And not to knock America.
Yeah.
Everybody it seems to me everybody in the world kind of wants what they think America is, but it's so not that, right? And you get that as a Canadian. Canada's got all of what America has except for the crap.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, every place has its own thing, right? You guys, your issues up there, and I have no idea what it's like to be under a quote unquote monarchy, right? But I think politically, that's probably the only thing that is somewhat distant. Everything else is kind of the same. You really are just our northern neighbors.
It's truly that, and I'd say the one thing, being that I live in Vancouver, is we're living in easily one of the most expensive places to live in all of North America. It's like crazy, and the taxes up here are nuts. It's like you can go down. I just crossed the border, which is 45 minutes from my home here, and cross the border, and I can buy 12 beer for like $15. You get 6 beer up here for $15. It's like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it's adapt to,
Yeah, no doubt. My son actually lives in North Carolina, and he just was up here last week, and he was telling me the opposite. He was saying that in North Carolina he could buy 6 beers for $8, and he was really pissed off that it cost him 15. I know. Anyway, look, I don't want to go. I mean, I really want to focus on you because that's what we're here to talk about. But
hey, man, I'm easy going. Whatever you want to talk about.
I know. Let's talk about your coffee addiction, man. You have a crazy coffee addiction, and I knew you'd have your Starbucks cup. So for all the fans who don't know, Ryan has a severe addiction to not only Starbucks but actually owning the cups. And I'm curious, how many cups do you have, and what's your fancied cup? Like what's the one you dig the most?
Yeah, it's their collectible mugs, and I enjoy like specific ones that they made. They kind of changed the design in North America, so I don't collect them in North America anymore. But yeah, it's the Starbucks collector mugs. When I started touring, everyone has T-shirts or pens or whatever it is they collect. So I wanted to grab something that I dug. And to be honest, it's like I like Starbucks coffee. I'm more severe a fan of their mugs than I am the actual coffee. But I definitely enjoy their coffee. I just like coffee in general. But so what I decided to do is I picked up my first cup was in Las Vegas. I was just down there with my buddies, and it was a really cool looking Starbucks mug. I'm like, that's wicked. Then I started noticing every city had that. So I'm like, that'd be a great tour thing. So, now I got this, half our kitchen's filled with Starbucks mugs. The wife ain't happy.
Yeah. Does she collect spoons? Remember those spoons? Like, yeah. I mean, you're younger than me, but it's that same thing, right? Where they have the little hookup thing on the wall, and they've got a little spoon.
Oh, no, I remember those, yeah.
And I never understood that. I mean, you go into restaurants all across the country, and there's spoons hanging there. And I mean, I guess it's just a way to monetize tourism, right?
Yeah, it is, but I think I have about 56 of them now, something like that. And yeah, it definitely turned into a hobby, right? And yeah, I don't know, as far as like my favorite one, there's some really cool ones like Budapest.
Right.
Is a pretty cool mug to have. Like Tokyo was cool. The Japan ones. I think probably one of my favorites because it's super hard to get and it's so south is Chile.
Wow, no, that's cool.
The Chile one I got in Santiago. Cool thing about the Chile one is it has Easter Island, all the statues of faces on it. So it's a really cool looking mug, and it's really hard to get, right? Because the only place you can get them is that city. So
right, and you were down there for the Epicloud tour, right?
Yes, yeah, it was called Metal Fest, and we headlined one night in like this arena that held I don't know 17,000 or so.
Yeah.
And Down headlined the other night.
That's awesome. I think I've seen the video. You posted a drum cam of playing Kingdom at that stadium. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, that drum cam, it has Kingdom, but it also it's kind of a medley.
Oh, that's right.
That's one of the rare drum cams where it shows me playing Strapping Young Lads Love live.
Oh, that's right. And you're also playing. Is it Bastard?
Not in that one. We didn't start doing Bastard until last year, warming up for the Royal Albert shows.
Okay.
Yeah, Royal Albert.
You played so many cool shows, man. Royal Albert Hall. Oh my God! And the video is great. I mean, everything that Devin does, or at least you guys do, I should say, maybe, is so well put together. There's clearly a lot of OCD focus on making sure that the tones are perfect, the video's perfect, and you get a real good sense of what the band is about, right? The personalities and everything. I think that's killer.
Devin's attention to detail and his vision it's awesome. It's like he's definitely a perfectionist, but he's not trying to go too overboard, but he always has like a great vision for what he wants. And it's the one thing I really respect about him is he knows what he wants. There's no, well, I don't know about this or that. It's like he knows exactly what he wants and he goes for it. And even if he can't hit it in all its glory and, the $500,000 budget that he's imagining,
right,
he'll make something work, right? And that's what we've always done, because if you look at our shows in 2010 when we're trying to do Ziltoid at Tuska Festival in Finland, like it is budget. Like we watch it now, we're like, whoa, looks fun, puppets and stuff, and now we have CGI and massive screens that take up the whole stage, and it's evolved, but that vision, he's always had it, and he always stays true to what he wants to get on in music. So I really admire that. It's definitely Devin who guides that boat, and it is the Devin Townsend Project. So, we're there just to make sure that we perform everything well and back it up as best as we can.
Yeah, the technology's finally caught up to his big brain, right?
That's it, and when it catches up, he has even grander ideas, right? So it's always evolving, man, and he has some awesome ideas and things that he wants to do, right? So we're always kind of patiently waiting, going, okay, what the hell is he going to do next?
Well, it's funny, though. You talked about the fact that he'll leave ideas alone sometimes, and yet if you watch that video of him, I think it's on YouTube, and it's from 2009, maybe, right after he had recorded, I don't know, Key, yeah. But he's actually in the process of recording Addicted, and he's talking about the literally thousands of layers on Super Crush.
Yeah.
Right? And all the little things you actually don't hear, but they're there and they're present. So I do love that crazy attention to detail, because he knows it's there, and it does prop the song off, and it gives it a thickness that it wouldn't have. I mean, I think, to me, that's probably my favorite tune of his of all time, simply because it's just so freaking epic, man.
It's an epic tune for sure.
So then let's address this thing about his vision and your vision, because you're just on the cusp of releasing Transcendence, right?
Yeah.
Comes out in a few days?
I think it's September 9th. Like, originally it was start of September, and then I heard it was September 9th. To be honest, I don't know, and I haven't really been paying attention to that, just because I'll do my social media updates and try and figure out as much what's going on with the band, and then there's teaching, there's rehearsing, there's like session work, there's so much stuff going on, right? But I believe it's September 9th.
So what was the process of putting that album putting that album together? And I ask because, at least on the outside, I think fans look at that and they say, okay, Devin has always kind of done it himself, done all the songwriting, done a lot of the pre-production, etc. And then you guys kind of come in after you've learned your parts, or the parts that you've brought in. And again, this is my perception from the outside, but now that I've seen these videos, and you guys did release a new one today about the process of recording Transcendence, is you guys are clearly a band now. It's like you found your voice as a band, and you're all chiming in and contributing to the songwriting process. So am I right on that?
Yeah, somewhat. Like, to be honest, this is the first album where Devin's kind of let go, and he's been open to us being in the writing process. It's still 100% a Devin Townsend record, in the sense that he has his hand in every song. And like, I'd say the song that was the one song that was written evenly amongst all the band members, like basically split 5 ways, with the exception of lyrics and vocal melodies, was Failure. And that's kind of a true example of what it sounds like when we all come together and write music. And then there's songs like Higher. We had little things. Another song called Gump, which didn't make the record. All the guys in the band wanted the song on the album, but Devin didn't feel that it fit really well with it. That was another song that a lot of us were involved in. But anyways, this was the first record he kind of let go on several different areas, and included us in the writing. But for the most part, it's still Devin who'd show up with the riffs and stuff. Okay. And hey, what do you think of this? We'd be cool, we jam on, and then maybe I go, what if we do this? And then Dave's like, yeah, that's great, and I can do this. And then we just bounce things off each other. And that was the first time that was involved in the writing process. But again, it would always start with, Devin going, how about this? This is what I have. Let's see where this goes. He's the basis of everything, and that's needed, I think, because we want to keep that continuity going in the songwriting and that sound, but also have it evolve. And it definitely evolved in the sense of having us in here and there with the songwriting, right? But we're still like his band. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess you could say we're still in a sense, we're a band, but we're hired guns within the same breath, because we still have to, perform all of his old stuff. And But this is the most that it's ever felt like a band, I guess you can say, because, we were involved in writing and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You know Jorgen Munkeby with Shining.
Oh yeah,
he's a great guy.
I love that band.
Yeah, I do too. They're one of my top 5, that's for sure. And then sometimes it depends. If I listen to Shining, they're immediately my favorite band in the whole world, right? They're just so fucking amazing. Yeah. But when I was talking to Jorgen back a couple months ago, he actually surprised me when he said, we actually aren't a band in the traditional sense. It really is Jorgen plus 4 other guys.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and that's really, it's funny, again, to me as a fan, it actually bums me out because I realize it's hard to have a cohesive unit, and I've been in bands all my life up until I was 37, and I know how hard it is to be in a band because it's like a marriage, right? And you're dealing with all these different guys, personalities, and you're supposedly supposed to be on the same page, and that's why it's so hard, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that you guys have found this voice as a group because, and granted, the fact that you released Failure as your first video with the new album, it's such a great song, man. It's so good that the opening intro it reminds me a little of Numbered, the octave stuff that you guys like to do.
Yeah.
And then that verse in 6 is just, it's funny because I'm a drummer, you can tell that the verse is in 6 and then the chorus is in 5, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's so badass. But it's the melodies, that oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, and Devin's voice is better than ever.
Yeah, he's really worked on his voice, and it's funny because we record a lot of records, and he records vocals he can't sing live. What about this song? He's like, no, it's a bit too hard. What about this song? No, I'm screaming too much. What about this song? No, we need Annika for that. It's like, and but this album, he wrote a lot of vocals where it's like, what about this song? Yeah, sure. What about this song? We're like, that's better,
Yeah.
But a lot of the times he doesn't do that on purpose. It's just he really gets into writing a song, and then he comes up with this wicked vocal part that he records separately. So he's never really playing and singing at the same time. Wow. So when he lays it down, albums released, he tries playing and singing, he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he runs into trouble that way sometimes, or he'll realize, holy shit, I was singing really high there, and you got to pace yourself, it's like, we're both in our mid 40s here, I'm 43, he's 44, and
so
it's not like 10 years ago, where you're 33 or 34, and yeah, we're still young, but you notice it a little bit more, right? And you just got to take care of yourself a little bit more and prep yourself.
Yeah, you do lose. I mean, if you're a vocalist, and I'm not a vocalist, but if you're a vocalist, you clearly you clearly lose that top range of your voice. I mean, you just do. Even Steve Perry's not going. He's just not doing it anymore. Your voice changes.
Although I'm pretty blown away, man. Devin's an amazing singer. Like he, even in rehearsals and stuff, it's just like, God damn, it's like you've been playing with this guy 13 years, and there's still times where he'll sing a song, from Ocean Machine or something, and you'll just be like, that's the guy. It's like it's pretty cool, surreal at times. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so let's go back then. I have so many questions to ask you, and I know you're limited on time, but I definitely want to ask a few things.
Sure.
Back when you first started, and it was called the Devin Townsend Band, correct?
That's correct.
And how did you end up in the group? Was it a reference? What's the story to get you in? Because I mean, I'd love to play for Devin. So what's the deal? How does that work?
Okay. I'll give you the best condensed version I can. Basically, I grew up in Port Alberni, which is on Vancouver Island, a big ass island off the coast of BC here. And I moved to Vancouver, and the one thing that my parents always taught me was don't put all your eggs in one basket. Basically, they're like, if you want to do something, you really want to succeed in life, you got to be diverse. You got to kind of get your hands on all different pies. Open as many doors as you can, and eventually things will work out for you, right? You just don't quit. So what I did is I played in bands, I taught drums, I did session work, I did everything to the point where I did pop sessions of country, I did blues, rock, metal. I kind of went into a little bit of everything. And by the time Devin decided that he didn't want the strapping guys to represent his solo stuff, he just wanted them to focus on SYL. And he wanted a completely different band to do that. He started looking around town, and the story that he told me was he would go around town asking, fellow musicians, producers, whatever, guys in studios, who would you recommend? And he said every single time my name got mentioned. And,
awesome.
And he was like, who the hell is this guy, right?
And I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess, at one point he asked Gene Hoglan as well, because he's like, well, some guy's going to be filling your shoes. Anyone you recommend around town? And, he named a couple guys, and then I guess Gene dropped my name. He's like, there's this RVP guy too. And he's like, I got to get in touch with this dude. Like, who is this guy, right?
Nice.
And so anyways, he called me up, and it was weird because I didn't believe it. I was like, yeah. And the funny thing is I wasn't a huge strapping fan. Actually, I didn't even like strapping. I thought it was garbage because I listened to City and I thought, the production's horrible. I thought, it's just like you can't understand anything, And so I wasn't very impressed by the music, but not a word of a lie. I was driving home from a band practice, and about a week before Devin called me, and maybe 2 weeks, and the bass player in the band I was playing at the time was playing Ocean Machine. And I was just like, what is this? This is amazing. I love this. And he goes, it's Devin. I'm like, that's strapping? He's like, no. He does solo stuff too. And I was just like, oh, he should just do this, man. I had other bands, garbage, It's like not impressed by it. And the funny thing now is I love strapping because when I saw him live and I could actually understand it, like you could hear the riffs and the drumming and just the intensity of it. Yeah. I was like, oh, this band's amazing, and then I got into them. But anyways, no more than a couple weeks later, Devin calls, and some of the songs I had to learn for the audition were obviously from Ocean Machine. So I'm like, wow, this is awesome. You know what I mean? And but that's how he got in touch with me. It's just I worked really hard as an artist. I didn't just do metal. I didn't just do pop. It's like the studios knew who I were. I was teaching. Like lots of people knew who I was because I was diversified and I truly love drumming. It's not just about a style of music, right? And so that really got my name out there. And that's what I'd recommend to any future musician trying to make it in this industry is be versatile. Put yourself out there as much as you can so people know who you are, because the next thing you know, you don't know, it could be knocking on your door. For me, it was Devin Townsend, right? So that's how it be. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And the fact that of all people, Gene Hoglan is actually saying, oh yeah, this is the guy, right? Like, I mean, how badass is that? That would be like Terry Bozzio telling somebody that, hey, you should call Rob Jones in North Bend. He's great.
Want to know the crazy thing too is that I met Gene a few times, but I remember meeting him the first time, and it was at this place called the Palladium in Vancouver, and we just headlined it, and it was about 600-700 people. We packed it that night, and we were headlining. We were doing really good. It was a band I played in called God Awakens Petrified.
Yeah.
And I remember people were coming up talking to me, oh, I love your drum, blah, blah, blah. And then this mountain of a dude comes up, and he's like, hey, Daddy, my name's Gene. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are, man. It's like, he's like, great drumming, man. I love what you did in this. And it's just like, wow, and Gene's a sweetheart of a dude. He's a legendary drummer. And, it's the one thing I've always appreciated about him is if he digs something, he'll come up and he'll tell you. And, no ego. He's just Gene, right? And, so I'd met him a few times. And I know he came out to our shows because I'd be playing in a crowd and I'd see Gene out there. And he came out to a few of our shows. So, yeah, to get props from him was, that was really cool.
Yeah, that blows my mind. A guy like that, too, to be so large and to be so skilled, that I don't know what that is. I don't know how that happens because every drummer I know is really lean like you, right? It's the Tommy Lee thing, right? Just lean, muscular, because when you're a drummer, I'm not evidence of this clearly anymore, but when you're a drummer, you tend to stay lean because it's a fat burning exercise. You're just always playing and your heart is always like 115, 120 beats a minute. And so you just stay skinny. But Gene is, as anybody knows, is not a skinny man. So I have no idea how he's able to withstand when he plays because, it's a mind blowing.
It's a couple things. First of all, he's lost a ton of weight and he looks incredible. Like, I really commend him on it. Like, he's lost a ton of weight. Like, it's unbelievable how much.
Wow.
And he looks great. But secondly, and most importantly, is the reason he was able to do that when he weighed way more than he does now, and is technique. Yeah. It's like, Dennis Chambers, he's a bigger dude. He actually has lost a lot of weight recently too, but for most of his career, oops, you still have me? Oops, sorry.
I'm here.
That's my wife.
Uh-oh.
Just declining that for now.
Well, it's okay. I mean, I can edit anything out if you need to take something, so it's all good.
Jesus.
Actually, we'll leave this in so people can laugh.
Yeah. Hey, Ange, I'm literally in the middle of a Skype interview right now. Huh? Say hello to the world because I'm in the middle of a Skype interview.
Hi.
This is the part where Ryan's wife called, and I was going to leave it in, then realized I should probably just edit it out. So please listen to this silence for a second.
And now back to our program. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we have Skype and now we got FaceTime, so everything's coming through the computer. But yeah, she's awesome. She's actually away on a fitness thing. I'm really proud of my wife. She's gone to school for personal training and all this stuff, and now she's starting to travel different places in North America for all this fitness stuff that she's becoming successful on. And I'm really backing her up because I strongly believe you got to do what you love for a living.
Absolutely.
The happiest you'll be is doing what you love and love what you do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wrote this down too because I did have that question. Is you are happily married, and I think it's obvious. I don't think it's just public persona of your marriage. You guys clearly look happy together, and I guess the obvious question is you tour, and now she's in a sense touring, right? So you understand each other's vision and focus and purpose. How does that work for you guys? What's your process, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a support factor. It's just, especially when you tie the knot, and you're going into it. I'll never forget when I started dating her before I even got the Devin gig. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I do. And these are my goals. And this is what I want to do with my life. I'm just letting you know now, because if this works out, I could be on tour a lot and doing that. She's like, cool, no problem.
Awesome.
Then I got the gig and stuff started taking off, and it was hard at first. You're gone for 6-7 weeks at a time. It's hard, right? But when I proposed to her 5 years after we met, same discussion. This is what I'm doing. If we're gonna get married, she's like, yeah. And then, right before we got married, like literally the night before we were about to tie the knot in Dominican Republic, we did a destination wedding. I said, last chance. I don't want you to fail, but I'm telling you, I'm definitely not quitting, because it was 2009 when we got married.
Right.
And that's when I was going like full time with Devin Townsend Project for a living. Right.
Yeah.
And she was like, nope, we're doing this, and she goes, I support you 100%. So the thing is it's support, right? She knew, and I made it clear to her, and she understood. So she backs it, even though it can be tough at times. And, we've developed this relationship in not only supporting each other, but finding ways to make it easier. So like, for example, when I go on tour, she looks at it as like a honeymoon when I get back. It's just like, we're extremely excited to see each other.
Right.
And we look forward to that moment as opposed to being bummed out about me not being around. Now, again, we have Skype, we have FaceTime. There's great cell plans where, you know, it's like I can use my phone throughout all my North American tour or all of Europe and the UK. It's like, and we FaceTime each other or talk every single day or text each other. So, you know, it's a lot easier to do that. You know, you miss being around each other and all that and being there physically for each other. But, you know, there's ways to work around it. And I believe if you really want something to work, you'll find a way to make it work.
Absolutely.
And there's always a positive spin on things, right? So that's what we do, is we both work really hard at finding ways to make it a positive experience. And support's huge. So I'm supporting the heck out of her. It's like, we knew she's going to be gone for 5 days for this fitness thing, only a couple days before I leave for tour for 6 weeks. But you know what? We discussed it. It's good for her career. Do that. Yeah. Go do that. That's what you need to do. You know, and if she starts going big on that, man, we'll see a lot less of each other, but she'll be successful. And you know what? So many great things can come out of it. And it'll make our relationship even stronger than it is now, because we're both doing what we love, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody's purpose-driven, right? I mean, okay, maybe they don't understand that, but everybody's made for something, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, you talked about how your parents said have, in a sense, sort of a backup plan. But the funny thing is, Ryan, is all your backup plans really were variations on the one thing, which is drumming. You said, I'm good at this. I love this. I'm passionate. This is where I'm at. I'm going to be really good at a lot of different factors of it, but that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
So was it your parents that really were that force of positivity in your life? Because now you're doing so many other things. Obviously, you're focused on life and health and fitness and business. So how did this happen?
Yeah, it's 100% my parents. Like my dad, especially because he was in the music industry, he's the reason I got into music. Because I'd always show up to their sound checks, and that's how I got into drumming, is I was always attracted to drums. But I remember starting out with drums, he just always said, you know, like, if you love this, then keep doing it. And you know, maybe I wouldn't get a rudiment. He's like, you'll get it. The minute you say you can't do something, you've already lost, because you won't do it. Yeah. So you gotta think that you can always pull something off. And if you fall short, you're still doing it, as opposed to not doing it at all. So at a very young age, my dad was always giving me positive reinforcement and teaching me different ways of how to achieve different goals. And then I just took it and ran from there and evolved with things like, even my dad and I will talk now, and he'll be like, man, it's like, you're doing things way past what I was teaching you, you know? And he's even asked me, how'd you do that? You know, or that's interesting, you did that and that was successful, you know? And it's just, if you really want to succeed at something, you'll find any way to do it in a positive manner. And waking up and being grateful every single morning like I am, you know, treating the people around me with respect and being grateful for them being your friends or helping you. Or, you know, I have my drum tech right now, Dave Price, he's drum tech for me forever. And, you know, he's staying at our house, just passion. You know, he's not technically drum tech. He's first and foremost my very good friend. And then, when we go on the road, he also happens to be my drum tech. You know, it's like just having that respect and positivity around you all the time is something that makes life a lot easier. And when you incorporate it into your life on a daily basis, man, things are great. You know?
Yeah, that's killer. Do you feel like you live your life in a sort of systematic way, or do you think it's more just about focusing on the positivity and taking one step and just saying, here we go, I'm going to kick ass at this, I'm going to be great at this?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's like a hybrid, right? Like you got to have structure. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, it's like people who sit there and go, oh, if you're just going to be positive, you know, everything will work out. Or, you know, it's like I remember reading the book and then seeing the movie version of the Secret or whatever. And I was just like, I thought there was some positive, like great messages and stuff in there, but I was just like, the thing that I didn't agree with it, even though they said you got to work hard, is I don't think they focused on that enough. They're more like, oh, if you think about it, that stuff's going to come around. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to bust your ass, man. and working as hard as you can in as many different directions while doing all those things. Yeah, visualizing and believing that you can get there and visualizing yourself playing in front of 50,000 people. I did that all the time when I played in God Awakens Petrified, for example. I'd sit there and I'd close my eyes and I'd visualize playing those festivals in Europe. Fast forward 5 years past that, I was doing that with Devin. But I busted my ass to get my name out there for Devin to call me, right? So you need structure while, having a positive attitude just allows you to go for longer distances, believing that you can do it, right? It gives you that extra shot, I think, that you need to actually accomplish some of the crazy things you want to do in your life.
Yeah, I agree. That
absolutely. Others think maybe aren't achievable. Because, the number one thing, man, is so many of my friends growing up, are like, oh, dude, you know how hard it is to make in the music industry? One of my buddies, I remember not too long ago, he was like, man, I work just as hard as you, blah, 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 but, the music industry is like a lottery. He goes, and you won it. And I came back to him, I go, not really. I said, you answered your own question as to why you didn't make it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, you think the music industry is a lottery, and that's why you didn't make it.
Yeah. You can hear it in his voice, right?
Yeah. And it's what he said. He failed before he even started. I never once ever thought that it was a lottery. And I always knew that I was going to do it. And that wasn't being cocky. It's just, I truly believe that's what I was going to do with my life. And I'm doing it now, right? And man, I haven't stopped there. I have grander ideas. Like, I want to do even bigger stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's
keep on going.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Say that again?
Oh, you just keep going. When you achieve one goal, you don't stop there. It's like you look at other things that you want to accomplish in your life, right?
Yeah. Well, you've heard that term, you are what you eat, right?
Yeah.
I think it's you are what you say as well, right? Your parents absolutely plugged you full of positive reinforcement. They told you that you were capable. They pushed you forward. They were loving to you. They were decisive, right? They didn't allow you to be indifferent about your choices. They helped you focus, and then they encouraged everything once they found that you found your focus.
And you want to know a big thing that's important to say as well, which I think is one of the biggest things they taught me as well, is not only were they just doing, the positive reinforcement thing, that's one thing, but they also told me, you know what? And I'll never forget what my dad said this. He goes, you're going to fail a lot. And I was like, what the hell? You're telling me I'm positive? And he goes, and he's like, be positive, all this. He goes, but you're going to fail a lot. It's going to happen. He goes, the best thing you can do when you fail is learn from it.
Yeah.
Don't get upset. He said to me, the best thing that any of us can do is learn from our mistakes.
Yep.
So many people make a mistake, or they'll be so upset that they didn't pull it off, and they just get pissed off. They're like, oh, I'll never do that again. They'll walk away, but they won't take the gold that's hidden within it, right? So I'll never forget that when he told me that at a young age. He goes, you're going to fail a lot. He says, but when you do, find out what went wrong and how you can make it better so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And learn from your mistakes. And then, it wasn't a few years after that, I remember watching a Michael Jordan interview, and he had won another NBA championship. And this is what really hit home with me, because this was in the late 80s or whatever when it happened. And one of the reporters asked him, just Phil, he's holding the trophy, and he said, how did you become the greatest basketball player of all time? And he said, I failed over and over and over. And that's when it struck me. It's like, that's what my dad said, it's like, from your mistakes. And I got it. And it was funny when he answered it, the whole press room was just quiet, because people were just like, wow, sense. So there's a lot of things that contribute to you being successful, but it's just being open to them all. You know?
Yeah. That's killer, man. I love everything you're saying. So you're doing a lot of public speaking now, right?
I incorporate it into the drum clinics that I do and stuff like that. And, it's like, it's still a drum clinic, but I want people to know that you know, you can do what you want with your life if you focus and you work really hard, and you know, I don't know, you're open to being diverse, and while you're doing it, it's better to go in with a positive attitude than being negative, you know.
Yeah.
You just open up more doors, and it's infectious, and people like that, you know. They want to be around a happy person as opposed to someone who's always grumpy. You know, it's like I prefer when I'm on the road, you know, it's like, and everyone goes through their swings, including myself, where, you know, you'll be grumpier and saying you leave those people alone. But I always gravitate to people who are having a good time, or, you know, are laughing, or want to. And luckily, this band is hilarious to be around. You know, it's like when you're on a bus, I remember our one bus driver, Royce, is like, he would just leave the door open on the bus and listen to us talk after every show, and all we'd hear is him laughing in the front, just listening to us and the stories we talk about, you know. So surrounding yourself in positive environments is an important thing.
Yeah. I it's funny you mentioned that. I remember a tape that got out, and I think it's on YouTube. It's the fart tape.
Oh, dude.
I mean, some of those are so nasty. Some of them are so wet.
Oh, man. You know what? And the king of that video is staying with me right now, man.
I was trying to figure out who was who, though. So you know, like who, because you can discern laughter, right? You know. So I was wondering who was who were the gooey ones. I figured they were beef. You know, they had to be beef.
You want to know the funny thing is, everyone, because I was done on the Fear Factory tour, and the story behind it is Jerry, the drum tech. We're in Vienna. We're playing, I think it's called the Arena, or I think that's the gig. Anyways, we're in Vienna, and I'm walking down to where the buses are. I walk around the corner, and I see Jerry with his iPhone, and he puts it to his ass, and he farts in it. I'm like, dude, what? I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man? And he's laughing. He's like, check it out, dude. And then he goes on to show me about 10 different farts that he recorded, right? And so, anyways, the whole tour decides to start recording their farts and just showing each other and texting them to each other. And surprised the whole tour didn't come down with a case of pink eye, you know, and fart. But it was funny because we were doing that, and then, you know, he's sitting there and he's like, oh, I got another one, you know, and so he's going to do it. Devin comes down. And Devin's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And, you know, we said, and, hey, this is what's happening. And Devin's laughing, you know. And we're talking, and, you know, Jerry's showing him a bunch of farts on his phone. And then all of a sudden, Devin's like, oh, give me your phone. And Jerry's like, what? Devin grabs his phone and fucking farts into it. Jerry's like, thanks, dude.
Oh, my God. Half the podcast audience just shut this off, man. So gross. So gross. So oh, man. I'm sorry I even brought it up, man. Sorry.
That's one of a million stories, dude. Like, we could go on forever about stories on that band.
Yeah. No, I mean, fortunately, you're such a positive guy. You're in a band full of joyful guys, right? I mean, you really are. You're in a band full of just goofy, crazy, fun guys. You're all killer players. You're playing a lot of great music, and it's challenging music, right?
Yeah.
Actually, let me go down that road. I do want to go down the road because I was noticing in Failure, and you might have seen me post about this on Twitter. The middle section, Solo Villa Strangiato. Do you notice that at all, or is that just me?
As soon as we played it, okay. I said that's Rush, man.
Yeah.
The kick drum pattern is almost identical.
Yeah. Down.
But more the middle section. Yeah, exactly. That's right. And you know, I grew up and I learned every Rush album when I was growing up. Like Neil Peart was that was the dude.
Yeah.
Still is. He's always remained a massive influence, and you can hear my playing some of Peart coming out in it, right? But yeah, it's like that midsection, yeah, definitely. It just happened to come out like that, and I noticed it as well right away. I'm like, man, that sounds like a Villa Strangiato, you know?
That's great. I love that it's in there, and the solo, the guitar solo. I don't know who's soloing. Is it Dave or is it Devin?
Oh, no, that's Dev.
Okay. Man, it's so beautiful and so melodic.
That's slinky. You can hear his Vi influence.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of eye in that soul. Personally, I think, obviously Dev played with the guy for years and learned a lot from him, that it's going to rub off in his playing. I think Dev was a fan of I even before that happened, right? Who isn't? The guy's one of the best guitar players on the face of the planet, right?
Unbelievable guy. Did you ever meet Peart?
No, I've never met him. It's like I'm talking to my Sabian rep, Christian Stanky, and he's close with Peart, worked on with him so much, right? And he's had lots of really cool stories about him. He's just a really low-key guy, but super intelligent, and just sounded like, that guy's had a rough life, Yeah. He had crazy stuff happen with him, with deaths in the family, and, it's sad, but he persevered, and he's still like a great dude as a result. It's so sad that we're not going to see him play again, though.
Yeah. Did you read Ghost Rider, his book?
No. I've been meaning to, though.
Oh, man.
And it surprises me because I'm being honest in that I haven't. Being a big Peart fan, I'm surprised that I still haven't. But now that you said that and I'm about to go on tour, I'm going to go buy that book.
Yeah.
Probably today.
It's great. I actually, fortunately for me, I read it and I took it with me on a trip, and then I left it on a plane. So hopefully somebody read it. It's an incredible book, and it's a brutal story, man. The loss of his daughter and his wife are just,
that's tragic.
Can't imagine going through that. I actually have a really weird Neil Peart story I'll share with you real quick. I was at a show in 2005 with Styx and REO Speedwagon here in Washington State at the Gorge. I don't know if you've ever been out there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Venue.
Awesome venue. And I was standing in line for the porta potties, and it was dusk, right? So you can kind of barely see. And I'm waiting, and then finally the door slides, and I run up to the door, and Neil steps out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't talk to him or anything, but I was kind of freaked out, like, holy crap, that's Neil Peart. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just walked in there, closed the door, and I was like. Of course, you have no idea whose was what, but
that's funny.
Oh, that's disgusting. So are there any songs that you play, on tour that just intimidate you? You were talking about how Devin doesn't necessarily want to sing certain songs. Is there anything, drum-wise, from either old, strapping catalog or even the newer stuff that you just go, God, I pulled that off in the studio, but it's so hard to play live?
Probably the most intimidating thing I ever have done live with Devin was playing Love and Detox. And it wasn't that I couldn't play it. I'd play them fine. It was just when you were playing them, you didn't want to mess it up because it was going to be recorded for a live DVD, and you're trying to be respectful and play Gene Hoglan's parts, so I wanted to be respectful of Gene and duplicate him as best as I can. I didn't add any new fills or trick him up or anything. I literally tried to play it like the part that Gene did, and only Gene can play it the way he does. But it was more that. So I'd say that was probably the most nervous I've ever been playing songs live. As far as our own stuff, like Planet of the Apes is a little bit nerve-wracking because recording it was actually a bunch of different songs, and then Devin kind of gelled all of them. I recorded them, but then he gelled them together to make this 11-minute epic tune, right? And that was kind of weird to relearn because now I was technically learning like 4 different tunes as one now, and he put them together in certain ways where I was just like, whoa, I didn't learn it like that, and so mixing and matching these parts. And the first time we ever played Planet of the Apes was in Australia, and we're doing the touring festival called Soundwave over there, and we were doing these side shows called Sidewave shows. And it was with Meshuggah. It was us and Meshuggah.
Oh, man.
And that song is kind of an ode to Meshuggah, as everyone knows. And as we played the first time, I look over to the left of the stage, and there's like a couple of the Meshuggah guys standing there. I'm like, great. So that was kind of, here's these monster musicians watching you basically play an ode to them, right?
Yeah.
And, Frederick did a solo on that tune, right, and everything. So anyways, it was funny after that, a little cool story for you. We finished the show, and I think it was Dick who came up to me, the bass player, and he's like, "How do you remember all that?" And I thought, he's from the Sugar. I thought he was like joking with me, right? I'm like, "Whatever, you jerk, get out of here." He's like, no. And he was dead serious. He's like, "How do you remember that? There's no patterns. We were trying to figure out patterns, but it's constantly changing." And I'm like, "Oh shit, you're right." And I'm like, that song was a bitch to learn. Yeah. Because it's just 11 minutes of constantly changing stuff and counting and time signatures and certain fills you got to do. And like the mid section's just messed. Yeah. Like everyone's playing a different signature. They're tapping. I'm going in and out of stuff. It's crazy, man. But now it's like I do it at drum clinics and stuff, and you know, your muscle memory kicks in, and it's just whatever. But I'd say that was probably the craziest, and then the strapping songs made me the most nervous.
Yeah. Did Dirk record Planet of the Apes, or was it you that recorded Planet of the Apes?
No, I recorded Planet of the Apes, Mighty Masturbator, Stand, and Praise the Lord.
Yeah, I love that video, by the way, of you and Dirk just hanging out in the studio. It's hilarious. Yeah, that guy looks killer, man.
He's an awesome guy, insane drummer. Now drumming for Megadeth, I'm so happy for him. Soilwork was a killer gig, and I love what he did in it. But you know what? It's like, obviously he's getting a bigger payday, and he's playing massive places, playing for a band like that. It's a pretty iconic band, so I'm super happy for him. You know, it's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Whenever I see people have more success, I'm happy for them. You know, like, he's worked really hard. He's an awesome drummer and a great guy. He deserves it.
Yeah. When you opened for Megadeth back in 2000, that was God Awakens Petrified, right?
Yeah.
So was that your first quote unquote big break?
Yeah, that was like, we'd opened for Biohazard and, you know, like Godflesh and a few other bands, but that was like the biggest band by far that we opened for, you know, and it opened up a lot of doors for us too, right? So that was a really cool gig, and Dave Mustaine was super cool. You know, after soundcheck, he came down, he's like, "Man, you guys are crazy," you know, and he was really cool, just spoke with us and was a good guy, you know, and that was a very memorable show for us. It was packed, and yeah, it was a great time.
That's awesome. So I have a few more questions. Can I ask you before you leave? I know you got a busy day. One thing I've noticed is your style has evolved, and yet it really sounds like RVP playing, and it's hard for me to flesh that out, and maybe you can explain it. But I noticed when I listened to, for example, the Ziltoid record, the original, the first one.
Yeah.
Obviously, that record it's a drum machine. I mean, there's no live drumming on that at all. Correct?
Yeah.
It seems to me that you're playing, obviously, in the first few records with Devin, it's more pocket groove drumming, occasional flourishes here and there, and all of a sudden Ziltoid comes out and he's in this weird progressive world of 64th notes at 200 BPM. You know what I mean? Which is, let's face it, it's almost impossible. Some of it's almost impossible to play. In fact, some of it probably is impossible to play.
Yeah.
But all that being said, it seems to me that your style has evolved into a Ziltoid-esque sort of drumming. I can't necessarily explain what that means. It just means that on every album, I know it's you. You have a voice now, and I think it might be because it's in tandem with Devin's style too, as well as for example, I'm sorry if I'm going all over the place here, but the opening notes of Failure sound a little bit like the opening notes of Planet of the Apes. That right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of cross influence, and I'm just curious how you feel your drumming has been influenced by that style of music. I don't know. I don't necessarily know where I'm going here, but I can hear you.
I can understand it. Like, one thing here's the basis of my drumming is I've always, first and foremost, have thought about playing for the song, especially when I was doing sessions and stuff. You go in and do a pop session, you don't bring a double pedal.
Absolutely.
And there are session guys who will bring a double pedal, who obviously aren't regular session dudes. It's like, so first and foremost, I'm always thinking about that. So I've always been groove related and massively influenced by guys like Neil Peart and Tim Alexander from Primus and Thomas Hack way back when I started listening to Meshuggah in 95. So I had that technical side, but I always whipped it out when needed. Okay. And now when I joined Devin, at first Accelerated Evolution was a rock record.
Right.
There was a need for flash and he didn't want it. So I was very pocket oriented. Synkestra was a little more progressive. So Devin was like loosen the leash a bit, I guess you could say, because he produces everything, right, that we do. And so I was allowed to do a little more kind of fancier stuff, but it's still nothing too crazy. Addicted, pretty straight up rock record again, back to basics. Probably the craziest thing I was allowed to do was the start of Universe in a Ball, which is just a big little drum solo thing. And even then, it's nothing too crazy, but it's cool though. Like, for me, it's not about how fast can you be, how crazy can it sound. For me, it's like, can people understand this and will they think that sounds cool? You know what I mean? And whether it's technical or not, it's just being right for the song. And that Phil was, So as it kind of went along, I progressed with whatever Devin's writing. And in the studio, there's always been a leash. Have I always been able to be 100% me under DTP? No. That's I don't write the music, but I'd say the most that I've probably ever been me was kind of on maybe deconstruction a bit, because there just wasn't time, for here's all this crazy stuff, learn it, So I put fills and different things in there. But this last record, especially since we were writing together and doing a lot of stuff where the songs like Failure is 100%, me.
Killer.
Yeah. That's Ryan drumming. Like, and that's all my ideas that's 100%. Just awesome. There's the riffs presented to me. This is what I would do. And you can kind of at times hear my influences come out. So I've grown with the band, and yes, playing with Devin has definitely influenced my drumming in a specific way, especially for his band. And even outside of it now, there's specific things I'll do. I'll go, oh yeah, that's something I picked up by playing in DTP. And, I definitely nod my head and give credit to a lot of the things that I do now because of playing in this band. And Devin's, he's influenced me as well, even though he's not a drummer. It's just, you get things. So I give credit to where credit's due. It's like playing in this band has made me a better drummer in so many different ways.
Yeah. And
it's diversified me and stuff. So, I'm very grateful that I've been able to evolve under the DTP moniker, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And Nolly's drum tones, holy crap. I mean, amazing. Your drums, they always sound great. And, Devin's a great producer. He's a great, engineer, etc. But, my God, this record sounds completely different. It really does.
Well, it's, and I'm not going to lie to you, I've never, ever been happy with a drum sound with Devin, ever.
Wow.
And up until this record. And it's just, my cymbals were always buried. There's really muddy sounding. Right. And I don't know, I get it. Like, Devin has a certain sound, but this album, was the first album he decided to let loose and let someone else have control over getting those sounds in the mix and mixing in and all that. Devin was still involved, but not nearly as much as he usually is. And all of a sudden the drums are popping through and everything's heard in the music and stuff. And it's by far my favorite record for drum sounds.
Yeah. The clarity's there.
Yeah. And I think that's because he finally let go. He let someone else come in and do their thing. And, Devin isn't, he's amazing at so many different things. But, he isn't known as an engineer or a mixer,
sure.
Whereas this guy came in and Nolly takes pride. Like, he doesn't even play in Periphery anymore. He's gone off doing production.
Yeah.
Even though he's still technically a part of the band, and I think he'll record records. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But, that's what he loves and what he does. So it only makes sense to let a guy like that do what he does, you know, and then you're going to benefit from it. And I think we did on this record. I think it's hands down the best sounding DTP record by far. I think it's one of his best sounding records, hands down.
Yeah, well, you know, Devin likes a lot of stuff, right? There's a thickness to the music, and as great and as overwhelming as that can be, and I mean that in a good way, it can also muddy things, right? There's just so much going on.
100%.
You know, Epicloud is a perfect example of just a crap load of stuff all going on at the same time. And not always, I'm not going to lie, I really, really enjoy that record. And in some ways, it's, I mean, man, Where We Belong, for example, is like almost a perfect, it's, yeah, I love it when you play it.
My favorite song on that record.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine as well. But it opens, I can't remember the name of the song all of a sudden, you know, with Anna singing, I love you, I need you. What's that song?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that song, it starts out and then it just kind of goes all wacky. I mean, you know, where do we go from here? There's all this crap going on. I was like so pissed off because it just felt jumbled to me. Yeah. I hope that doesn't offend you.
No, not at all. You know, it's like, hey man, like I said before, it's like, this is the Devin Townsend Project.
Right.
We're the guys supporting what he basically wrote, you know? And like I said, it's like, I don't mean to bum you out, but it's very similar to Shining. It's Devin and then bunch of guys that he pays to play the music.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily really a band. And the most it's been a band is this record.
Yeah.
By far. You know, otherwise it's just been him writing. And yeah, I've had writing credits like in Grace and Super Crush and Liberation, like in the past. Yeah, I've because I've introduced things and, you know, that was part of the writing, but it wasn't like a focused effort. It just happened that way. Yeah. And so I got a part of the writing credit, as have the other guys in the band too, here and there. But this was the first record where it was kind of focused together, right? So yeah,
it's obvious to see why you got the Grace writing credit, because that drum part is so signature. It's the song, actually.
Yeah, it's fun to play.
Yeah. Why did you guys go to Australia to record that? That's just so bizarre to me.
We just happened to be in Australia doing that Soundwave tour, and under time restrictions that the label needed things, and the fact that we were already there. When you get back from Australia, you're getting over jet lag and stuff too. So the next week and a half to 2 weeks are kind of a write-off.
Yeah.
And you know, so it just made sense to save time to do the drum tracks there.
Yeah.
Get them done and get the recording started, and then come home and just blast through all the guitars and stuff. And so that's why we did it there.
Yeah. You know, I want to address one thing. There's two things I want to ask you before you go. But one thing is this. When you guys, I mean, obviously you guys don't book your shows, right? You have management that books your
we have
tour
a booking agent who does all that with management.
Right. So you've played Seattle. I mean, every time you guys have played Seattle, I've been there. And you guys always play Studio 7, and it drives me crazy. I freaking hate that place.
I thought we'd play like the Showbox or something. And especially with this co-headlining one with, but yeah, I don't know. Hey, you know, it's almost like when we go to Seattle, it's like we don't think about any other gig because we're just like, oh, it's probably Studio 7.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I wish we, nothing against it, because the people who run it are great people. They're sweethearts. You know, they're cool. But you know, I like playing different venues. Every time we go to LA, it's always a new venue. Last time was the Mayan. The time before that with Gojira, it was the Henry Ford Theater. You know, it's just like, yeah. It always changes, and I like that. You know.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that's just what the booking agents always end up booking us in. So
and when you go to Europe, you're going to play with Leprous.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, I love Leprous.
Yeah, they're a killer band, man.
Oh, and that drummer, that kid, unbelievable player.
Yeah, unreal. He actually, are you talking about Tobias, the guy who plays for Shining as well?
Well, no, I mean, Tobias is a great drummer. The new drummer they have for Leprous, I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
He's amazing as well.
Oh my God. There's that song called Third Law, and it's just, it just blows my mind. To anybody out there, if you don't know, there's this great band from Norway called Leprous, and they have an album called The Congregation.
Yeah, you got it. It's awesome.
Like the first 4 songs will just like take you. I mean, it's over. It's so good.
A great band, man.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're going to tour with them over there. Man, if you added Shining to the mix, I would have to like sell my children and go overseas because we don't get killer shows like that. It drives me crazy about North America. Europe gets all the killer stuff, and it can't just be because, well, there's lots of metal fans. There's a ton of metal fans here.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even call DTP metal. I mean, it's just hard rock. You guys are hard rock, progressive rock. Leprous isn't metal. Shining isn't metal. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. The booking agents and the management, they come up with the tour packages for specific reasons. So.
Yeah. So what's the latest with Terror Syndrome? Are you doing anything?
You know what? It's still a thing, but it's just comes down to time, and I just don't have the time. And I'm super proud of the record that I did, and that was an experimental thing for me. Just say this is what Ryan's writing style would be like if I were to do a heavy record.
Yeah.
I wrote it, I produced it, I played drums on it. I was in on everything, even the lyrics. A lot of the lyrics were written by me. So it's just one of those things where very proud of it, but just not a lot of time to do something again. It takes time to, not just the writing part of it, but getting the time to record it and do all that stuff. It's a project, right? So
yeah, and you're a busy guy, and I know you're getting ready to leave on tour again.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, last question. I mean, you can tell me this, but I believe that every person in the world is what I call 97% badass, and that means 3% of you there's like 3% that you just don't have the skill set for, and that you need other people around you to influence you to either teach you how to do it, to partner with you to do it. So what don't you do well? Because I mean, you're really good at a lot of stuff.
Oh man, there's lots that I don't do well. It's like I think I'm a terrible singer, man.
Okay. Yeah, but see, that's music. See, that's interesting because that's still a musical thing, right? Your brain is so programmed to be about music. Is there something like you're not a mechanic, or you know what I mean?
What would be something? Oh, dancing.
You're a drummer. You're supposed to be killer.
Horrible. Man. I'm like Napoleon Dynamite when I dance, man.
Oh,
actually,
man.
He's a good dancer. Screw that. I can't. I love his dancing, but I'm terrible at dancing.
Oh,
just
man.
horrible. It's like, and my wife's amazing. Like, I'll just watch her all night. She's hot, right? I'm just come dance with me. It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's beautiful too. You can watch her from afar and just admire her, right? So there's that.
I'm a terrible dancer, man. Let's say that for sure. It's funny. There's lots of things. I'm just trying to think of things right now that would be. that one really sticks out.
Yeah.
I love playing sports and stuff. And like I love golfing, for example, but I'm not a very good golfer. It's like if I practice it enough, I can get pretty decent at it. But there's just there's lots of things. But that's the thing. If you truly love something, you'll put the time into it, and you can always get better and achieve what you want. So it's just a matter of focusing and putting the work into it. Because I've taught a drum student who hasn't been. At first I was like, wow, this is going to take some work. But one of my best drum students is a kid who just didn't have the feel for it or any coordination whatsoever. Like it took a while to get him going, and now he's a phenomenal little drummer.
Wow.
He's just killing it, right? But it just shows all the hard work that he put into it.
Yeah.
That even though you weren't good at something, you were able to become good at it because you believed in yourself, you worked really hard, and he didn't quit. He didn't give up.
Yeah.
So now he's kicking ass, and he's one of my best students.
Yeah. Recognize what you do well and go after it with ferocity, right? Just dive in and don't quit. And by the way, when you think you're working hard, work harder.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not even recognize what you do well. You want to know what I think the key is recognize what you love and what you truly want to do with your life, right? So That's what I think resonates with most people is, what do you want to do? And if that's truly what you want to do, go after it with all you got, and don't look back and just try your best. And you know what? Not everything always works out, but it's surprising what you can pull off if you put your mind to it and you follow through with a lot of hard work and not quitting.
Yeah. I want to be good at this. I'm working my way up, but I want to be good at this, right? So just keep going back.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, man. Like, it was a great interview. You're a blast to talk to. It's been a really good time.
Oh, thanks, man. So I get to let you go with this. How do you say your name?
It's easy for me and Dutch people. It's Ryan Van Poederooyen.
Poederooyen.
Yeah, Royen.
Okay.
Let's say people have asked me, and I've broken up on like my social media. Poo is the easiest part. Sure. And then Roy is ROY. Think of it like that.
Right.
Poederooyen.
Okay. Well, I actually had it right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, man.
Whenever I see Annika, I always get her to say my last name. Like, say my last name. She says it correctly with like all the the Dutch accent and stuff. It's hilarious, right?
It's awesome.
Every time I go to Holland, they say my last name. Like, oh shit, that's how you say it.
Poederooyen.
Canadian version.
Well, thanks for your time, man. You're awesome. I really, I'm just blessed that you were on the podcast today, and I wish you the very best. I know you're going to have a killer tour. Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, come on and see us on tour, man. It's for the people that haven't seen us before. It's an awesome time. It's a fun show. Devin, hands down, is the best frontman I've ever played for. Yeah. And I think he's one of the best out there. It's an entertaining show. It's a really good time.
Yeah. And
and for people who want to know more about me or keep up with what I'm doing, there's my website, www.rbpdrums.com, and social media. Just look up that huge long ass last name, and I'm all over there, and I'm always in touch with the fans and stuff and supporters. And lastly, thanks to everyone who supports us. It's like there's no way we can do any of this without the people coming out to the shows and doing all that stuff and supporting what we do. So I'm extremely thankful and grateful to be able to do this for a living. And thanks to all those people and the people like you who, get us on your podcast and stuff and spread the news. It's an awesome thing. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're welcome, Ryan. I love you guys. I'm really, really proud of you and happy for you. And I'm going to cut this podcast together today, and I'm going to broadcast it tomorrow. So I'll make sure I include all the, your website information, et cetera, in the show notes so people know how to get to you. All right, buddy?
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's great talking with you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You as well.
See you, buddy.